What a sim we have today, ladies and gentlemen. With all honesty, I had my fingers crossed while running the latest patch. Now the sim update business isn't a simple one. To an extent, it takes a great deal of effort to go through many changes that may come across. As days go by, the platform has welcomed numerous changes over time. A growing one, and for August this year, it's going to be 2 years. A vast platform by itself, plus with the support of community folks, this could be made possible further. Hope you've been well, and we hope you got the latest patch up and running on your sims. To a large extent, numerous changes have been made to the sim over different areas, having a large focus on plane models. By the way, if you like this video, hit a like, plus subscribing greatly helps us. I think the sim has seen a considerable change, especially with the last few sim updates. First off, the experience is much better. Now high level, changes over stability has been a growing area. Now there are a few folks who experienced a few issues after this patch. In terms of weather, the clouds look much better, and on a close range, the clouds look much better. Load times were faster when compared to before, a very slight improvement in terms of frames per second when it comes to performance, plus the ATC audio seems to be corrected. Let's talk issues here. There were crash or desktop issues to which a few folks experienced. In addition to that, some were experiencing a flickering reflection issue when using a render scale other than 100. Now the team have been investigating this after finding this issue during beta. Now some of the folks had their bootstrap progress reset, which isn't a good thing. Now generally speaking, performance-wise, the load times were faster, plus my GPU has been running at 70% and not the usual 90% capacity and at times almost 100%. To give a reference, my graphics card is an RTX 2080 Super and settings are all set at Ultra here, with some tweaks on terrain level of data, still using DX11. Set up object level of detail to 175 here, plus other areas. Now what's something that has bagged the spotlight for the update? It has been the Cessna. Let's talk about this, and something to note is that the overhaul of this particular flight model to a large extent has gone in. The Cessna 172 plus the FA-18 Hornet both updated differently amongst all flight models. A little more work has gone into these two. Now if you ask me, I feel the Cessna has seen a great deal of changes. There's no doubt that the Cessna has been one of the most demanded models at the sim, the chosen aircraft for training as well, and there's a reason for that. By the mention of the type of changes, it certainly appears promising, looking at the number of changes going in for this model. Now by the feel of the plane, it feels more natural, so to speak. There's a noticeable improvement in terms of handling here. I did see an effect on the yaw when trying several things. The wobbly autopilot appears to be fixed as well. In addition to that, the rate of climb matters when flying and it appears to be much better, and the higher you climb, it appears to match the POH or the pilot's operating handbook, which is better than at lower altitudes. Now flight dynamics aren't simple to replicate at the sim. It's quite difficult to create an accuracy here, especially when more and more random elements come across. Now there are other improvements on what we felt with the Cessna. The plane's inertia seemed to feel heavier on the right ways. The takeoff roll could be better, should rather give a feeling of balancing the pedals. Of course, this was the first flight and there's definitely more to explore and confirm this. Now when it comes to adjusting engine orientation in order to adjust engine FX, this has been an interesting one. This isn't really based on performance of the engine. Now real single engine aircraft are not really symmetric in their behaviors due to several elements, from torque effects, P factor, prop wash and more. So as a result, models are usually configured to fly with no rudder in normal cruise flights, and part of the configurations is to essentially orientate the engine so that the thrust of the propeller is not quite along the center line of the model, or possibly offset at a smaller angle. A more realistic yaw behavior is what we felt based on what was tweaked. I think overall, there's a huge improvement on the Cessna 172. Not 100% yet, but configured to meet a realistic feel to it. A good change. The behaviors, responses, flight dynamics, the overall smoothness just feels much better. Over time, things have grown at the sim. The last sim update had a good extension of fixing the aspect of propeller behaviors, prop drag and the force what propellers were using, relying on old propeller systems. Quite frankly, the Cessna was my favorite. I really haven't spent much time over the months as it needed much more work. Didn't really get that realistic feel. With this update, I certainly will consider having more flights as it felt much more realistic. Not 100% feel, but convincible. A change that could easily notice, for the better. An extensive amount of work has gone in for sure. Apart from that, several other areas have been addressed as mentioned before, but this has definitely gained the spotlight for this update. We can't be thankful enough for the team for listening to our feedback based on several flight models, especially the Cessna 172. They've definitely heard us and made a considerable change on this model. A great job overall and a milestone, so as to put it. There's definitely more to come and the sim is truly coming to shape here. More to follow, do subscribe for more and we'll see you next time. Happy flying, folks.